so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yes, hello, welcome back. How's it going, mate? How are you? And welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well from the living room to the studio. Yeah, no running today, although when I'm back out there, I'll take you with me out in the wild, and we'll see what we can find. But today, welcome back to Chelsea News. We're discussing the Kelleher situation, a little bit about Mudryk, the formation change. There was an interesting talk on the Straight Out podcast, the Athletic Chelsea podcast, about tactic shifting and who's going to play in that sort of left advanced 8 role. Will we keep inverting fullbacks not to central defensive midfield but into the number 10 position? We'll get into it. I'll just show you. It'll be fine. So we're going to get into it today, guys. As always, thank you very much for joining me. It's going to be a lovely time here, you and me. I promise. So stick around. Do stick around. Yeah, thank you for liking and subscribing. Should you choose to subscribe, you should hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Notes, pipes. Alright, man. First of all, let's speak about the formation and the tactics very, very briefly. First of all, shout out Joao Felix. Scored a lovely goal for Portugal in their dead rubber against Croatia yesterday. Of course, they'd already topped the group in the Nations League, Portugal, so Martinez sent the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo home. Also, the elite likes of Pedro Neto home, who's a very important player for Portugal now. He's landed on this competitive front three of Cristiano flanked by Rafa Leao and Neto. Neto's the guy, and playing at, crucially, right wing. I do think he's going to land there for Chelsea. As much as Noni's been good for England, and I'd, be totally happy for Noni to be in scintillating form and starting for Chelsea, fine, no issues. But for the moment, and this is coming from an England fan, of course, Neto has to start on the right wing for me. He absolutely has to. So congratulations to Joao Felix, who got a start. He looked pretty good. The goal he scored was excellent. He was playing on the left. He was sort of like up front with Leao as two sort of wider forwards. I think he must have been in the right channel then, but he receives the ball in the left channel. Lovely touch and turn and a lovely nutmeg finish from the goalkeeper. Elite player, and I'm not going to speak at length about Felix, but I feel like we need to. I'm not saying, look, he's got to start Premier League games. It's tough. We've got quality, but he's got to be getting minutes. Especially in games where Cole Palmer's marked out of the game. Not necessarily to replace Palmer, but just get him on for not 5 minutes. Get him on for half an hour and see what he can do. Give him a chance. Alright, mate, let's talk about this lineup situation. Now, I saw this graphic rotating on social media, which I'm going to present to you now. Here you go. This is what some people would like to see at the weekend, for example, against an opposition as, I don't want to say easy, because that is really disrespectful and there's no easy games in the Prem, and Leicester can probably beat anyone at the moment because of the way the Premier League is. But this is the shape in possession for Enzo Maresca. It's what we also see with Manchester City as well from Pep Guardiola. So this is if Lavia, because apparently he's got a fatigue or light injury, or he's fatigued, muscle injury, you would see a fullback inverting into midfield, which is what we were seeing at the beginning of the season. Now, this is different to what we've seen lately, because we've been seeing the likes of maybe not James, but Malo Gusto, who's not in this particular lineup, or the likes of Cucurella breaking into where you see Fernandes or Palmer. We saw Palmer move into the left pocket against Man United and possibly Arsenal, I forget. So that right pocket where you see Palmer now on the graphic was occupied by Malo Gusto. And that allows you to start both Caicedo and Romeo Lavia in the midfield behind him. Now, a lineup like this is when you drop a Lavia, for example, and this is how actually Pep Guardiola plays. He plays with 4 attacking midfielders behind Jackson. Now, Enzo Fernandez is he's quite still functional. He's not a proper attacking flair midfielder. He plays as the deepest midfielder sometimes for Argentina. So you might still make an argument that that's not that risky. And then you could make a case for this formation, but still no Fernandes, and actually Joao Felix. So you could have, and that was probably Joao Felix's favourite position in the left pocket rather than left wing. Cole Palmer's favourite position in the sort of right pocket rather than right wing. And then you get Neto and Sancho in their favoured positions as conventional tricky wingers on their preferred sides. Sounds great in theory, and I guess if you do have a double pivot of Cucurella and Caicedo behind them, and three capable defenders, like Reece James can lock down that right flank by himself because he's such a good wide defender. But it is risky, and this is not the kind of lineup you would play against, I don't know, someone really, really capable and dominant. But it is the shape we like to see, Maresca likes to see in possession, and people are calling for, the fullbacks to stop inverting into the number 10 because they're not attacking enough. They're not capable enough as attacking midfielders. Even if they're really good technicians like Cucurella, James, Gusto, they're not Cole Palmer, Joao Felix, even Enzo Fernandez. So guys, let me know what you think. What lineup would you like to see against, say, like the weaker teams? So, for example, Leicester City this weekend. I will do a match preview later in the week, and we can talk about tactics and move players around. But let me know in the meantime how you feel about that inverting fullbacks to the top. And, let's try. I think we should keep them defensively. But that would mean you're putting in an attacker and you're dropping maybe Romeo Lavia. Nothing's definitive yet. We're still experimenting, and we're all learning. We're learning, aren't we? Right, I'm going to use the magic of technology and pause to get a glass of water. Stay hydrated, people. Okay, so we are going to react to some news stories now. Kelleher and Mudryk. Who should we start with first? Let's end with Kelleher because it's a £35 million reported fee for a very capable goalkeeper who's got the better of Chelsea a bunch of times. Although he's eaten 5 goals to England the other day, but, that's more the team in front of him. So, yes, we'll start off with a Football Insider article. Here you go, let's have a look at Football Insider. Breaking! Chelsea could accept Mykhailo Mudryk offer ahead of January. And this is coming from sources. Their sources. And it's from a chap called Pete O'Rourke, transfer correspondent. Don't shoot the messenger. This man... I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Mudryk transfer story in a moment, alright? Mudryk is being monitored by multiple Premier League clubs ahead of the January transfer window, and Chelsea could accept a potential offer, sources have told Football Insider. The 23-year-old is not playing regularly at Stamford Bridge, and that has alerted suitors in the English top flight. Well, he is playing every week. Just generally, just midweek, and he comes on the odd Prem game. I mean, it's not like he's not seeing anything. Mudryk has slipped down the pecking order, following the appointment of Enzo Maresca and the subsequent arrivals of Pedro Neto, Joao Felix, and Jadon Sancho. Although Joao Felix isn't being utilised as a left winger, and he's probably playing even less than Mudryk, considering Mudryk gets more minutes off the bench in the Prem. Premier League clubs are monitoring the situation with Chelsea and they're braced for approaches in the new year. Sources say the Blues are reluctant to sanction an exit as they challenge for a place in the next season's Champions League. And of course, we're currently third behind City and Liverpool, which is fun. It's lovely, going back into the festive period, the Christmassy period, in the top 3, but like I said before, the sobering reality is we're 4 points above 13th. That's just where the Premier League is, my friends. So, Chelsea reluctant to let Mudryk go in January. Crystal Palace. We've got this weird intrinsic link with Palace. I mean, fair enough. Send your academy graduates there, your Ruben Loftus-Cheeks, your Trevoh Chalobah, your Conor Gallagher's. Heck, every now and again, send the 30 million Michy Batshuayi there. But a £62 million Mudryk to Palace? Maybe. Crystal Palace have been linked with a swoop for Mudryk in January, but it can only currently be on a permanent deal. The Eagles already have Trevoh Chalobah on loan, and they would have to sign him permanently or cancel his loan to bring the UK. Basically, they can only loan one player. It sounds like we could probably do with Chalobah back. So Yeah, that's a different conversation to have. Mudryk has notched 2 goals and 5 assists in 14 appearances, but has managed no goal contributions in just 146 minutes of Premier League action live. Yeah, but that's nothing, isn't it? Like, he scored 1 goal in 146 minutes, or so let's say, let's say he played for a half of football, yeah? He got brought on for a second half and scored a goal. That would still be 1 goal in 2 Premier League games, like 90 minutes. So that's 1 and 2, which is an elite return for a winger. So it's unfair to, to judge him on that. He joined Chelsea, of course, from Shakhtar Donetsk in 2023 for a reported 88.5 million. This is so annoying. Shut up! It's just so much fun for publications to be like, oh, it's over 88 million. But the truth is, if we recognise or he reaches that transfer fee, it's massively good news for Chelsea because it means Mudryk's won the Premier League and the Champions League. And in the meantime, he's a £60 million player. I read somewhere it's like 59 million or whatever, but still, whatever. That doesn't make headlines. In other news, Chelsea respond to Aston Villa's swoop for Kieran Dewsbury Hall. We can speak about that another time. I think we've spoken about him being linked elsewhere. Okay. What do I think about Mudryk? Well, the brief from the club to the people they speak to, and who's that then? That is the Telegraph, that is the Athletic. They reach out, Chelsea, and speak to them and brief them. The noises coming out of Chelsea have always remained the same regarding Mykhailo Mudryk, and is they don't want to give up on him, that they've had approaches, that they still see an amazing, amazing player in there that needs to be brought out, and he's still so young, and there's obviously a lot of circumstances around him at Chelsea, and indeed is what's happening in his home country. Of course, that's really, really rattled him. Understandably, it would, just have a huge effect on anybody. But, of course, you have to analyse him for his football in the landscape of the Premier League and how he's playing for Chelsea. He does have moments. He's so frustrating because he has these moments of wonder goals or these little demonstrations of fleeting amazing skill or amazing speed, like ridiculous speed. And then he just goes missing for ages. I did like him getting angry the other day. We spoke about that when he was shouting, and then he got 2 assists and a goal. It's probably his best performance for Chelsea. There is definitely a player in there, and I can understand Chelsea not wanting to give up on the idea of Mudryk. But, would a loan be so bad for him? I think he's, forgive me because I forgot where I heard this from. A podcast. It was probably London is Blue. It might be Matt Law speaking to the boys over there. He came to Chelsea, and no one that works day to day at Chelsea speaks Ukrainian, and his English wasn't great, and he felt quite isolated, and he just didn't have a proper integration time to properly feel at home, and it's been tough for him. And maybe he's just slowly settling in, and it's just a massive delay because of everything that's gone on in his life, which is totally fine, really, especially if he does realise his potential, which is massive. But at this point now, if he can stay, I get the Crystal Palace links a little bit more because you're not going to send them up to the Midlands or something. If he can stay in London, doesn't have to move, it'd be great, really, if it was a Fulham who are playing better than Palace, and Marco Silva seems to have them flying, and they obviously don't need him because they've got Hudson-Odoi and Elanga on the wings as first choice, which is frustrating. And then obviously Mudryk's played as a number 10 under Pochettino, but then they've got Gibbs-White, so they've literally sorted. They don't, he needs to go somewhere to be a starter, but it's a shame that Hudson-Odoi wasn't a right winger there, and they didn't have Elanga or something. But it could be a good opportunity for him to go and start every single Premier League game for 6 months, rack up 5 goals and 4 assists or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And be or maybe double digits for goal involvements for the second half of the season. Be really, really good for him. But I think it's quite tricky, probably too tricky. Let me know what you think about Mudryk. Let's move on. Alright, so this next one is the goalkeeper. It's a huge story, of course. Reading this article from Court Offside. Here we go. Court Offside. Chelsea plots surprise transfer move for £35 million Liverpool star who wants to stay in the Premier League. I've got a lot of thoughts on this, but let's just see what they're saying first. Chelsea are reporting, easy for me to say. Chelsea are reportedly plotting a surprise transfer raid on rivals Liverpool as they show interest in goalkeeper. Say his name right, Jan. Kelleher. Kelleher. Let's just call him Kelleher. The Republic of Ireland international has struggled to establish himself as a first-team regular at Anfield, of course, due to the presence of Alisson as number one in recent years. By the way, I think Alisson's the best goalkeeper in England Premier League. For whatever that's worth. You know, I think maybe Courtois is better than him on form and whatever, but in the Prem, I think Alisson's the best. But he's always impressed when called up to fill in for Alisson. Chelsea are seemingly keen on Kelleher, even though they already have a number of other options in goal. The Reds keeper would also ideally like to stay in the Premier League, despite also having interest from Serie A. Both Juventus and Napoli. Wow, big clubs over in Italy. The report states Kelleher could cost around £35 million, but it also claims that Liverpool would ideally not sell to a rival. Well, he's got to agree to where he goes, and if he doesn't want to go to abroad, then they might just have to. Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca has shown faith in Robert Sanchez as his number one this season. He's shown faith publicly, at least for now. But one imagines fans would welcome a change, as he hasn't been convincing at his time at Stamford Bridge so far. Agreed. Excuse me. Kelleher, is he what Chelsea needs? Well, Chelsea have something of a history of boasting some of the finest goalkeepers in world football. I mean, we've had two, Petr Cech and Thibaut Courtois. Of course, they've been hugely important players for them during... I mean, also, look, let's give Mundy his flowers. He had an amazing 18 months at Chelsea. Or in his career, he had an amazing 18 months, and it was in that run at Chelsea. Sanchez doesn't seem to be in that category, but Kelleher doesn't also quite seem like enough of an upgrade, even if he's been a solid performer, reliable for Liverpool. Yeah, we'll talk about this. Chelsea also have Philip Jorgensen, of course, Danish shot stopper who recently joined. We've got a bunch of young goalkeepers as well that could be good in the future. Right, and it's weird, right, because he's been really good, Kelleher, and like maybe a year ago you'd be like, oh yeah, if we can get him, then great, you know, because he's come in, he's obviously mugged Chelsea off at Wembley a few times, rather frustratingly, but they obviously, Liverpool have bought in Mamardashvili's coming in the summer, and they've spent significant cash on the Georgian shot stopper, and he's going to be... He's obviously been brought in to be number two, but also succeed Alisson. How old is Alisson, the goalkeeper? Alisson is Becker, is his name, isn't it? I always forget. Alisson Becker. He's 32. He's 32. I mean, he could probably go for a little while longer, quite a while longer, but maybe in his head he's had a conversation with someone at Liverpool like, you know, I've won the Prem, I've won the Champions League, I'm Brazil's number one. Maybe he's had a opportunity to go to a, I don't know, Liga giant, or maybe he wants to return to Brazil knowing that he can stay in goal for the national team. I don't know. There's lots of stuff to consider. But Mamardashvili for the investment and the high profile of goalkeeper, that's why Kelleher's like, right, I am out of here, mate. Now, 35 million, no issue with the price, considering he's won cup final against Chelsea. He's won cup finals. He is a good shot stopper. I know the last time we saw him in goal, he was eating 5 goals against England, but that was context is required. It's tough, isn't it? If I had a choice between starting Kelleher and Rob Sanchez in goal right now, I'm starting Kelleher right now. Again, Rob Sanchez has had really good games for Chelsea, both shot stopping and passing, and then he's had terrible games for Chelsea, both shot stopping and passing. That worries me. You can't be that volatile. Kelleher has generally been solid. Whether you'd want to buy Liverpool's third choice goalkeeper to be Chelsea's number one to challenge Liverpool is another question. So, as always, I'm going to leave it up to you guys. What do you think? Again, a year ago, people would have been really keen on it, but maybe the narrative's changing. It'll be funny if he refuses to go to Napoli or Juventus and goes, let me go to Chelsea. And then plays really well for Chelsea. He's young. He's 2 years younger than Sanchez as well, lest we forget. And, you know, has had better moments in English football than him. When you think about it like that, and the landscape isn't great, then it is tempting. I can't wait to read your thoughts down in the comment section below, so thank you for leaving your comments, thank you for liking, subscribing, heck, sharing. Yes, road to 200,000, so thank you for subbing, and yeah, see you, yeah.